Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Great day out here today. It's like in the low 80s, high 70s right now, sunny, with some clouds, but it's predominantly sunny. Really nice day. I went down to Burger King for lunch today. And I don't know about the rest of y'all where you live, if Burger King gives out coupons, like sheets of coupons during the month. But they do here, okay? And I decided I was going to use one of the coupons down at Burger King. So I went not to the one in Brewer, but to the one in Bangor that's still open, which is down by the airport mall, for those of you who know the area. I went in there and I had a coupon for a Whopper meal. So I go in there and I go inside. This time I didn't go through the drive-thru. It was kind of too hot to sit in the truck, so I didn't want to run the truck and burn up the gas and all. So I just decided to go in, and there wasn't that many people inside. But I noticed every table, hadn't been wiped down yet and everything, because people had been going in and out of there. They just don't have the staff to take care of the lobby, as it were. And so anyway, I went in there with the coupon, gave it to the cashier, and before she even looked at the coupon, she looked at me and said, "Our broiler is down and we can't make any Whoppers." I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like I just went in there to get one, and now they're saying I can't have one. So it's like it nullified the whole fucking point of the coupon. And I'm like, this is crazy, so, I mean, I didn't blow up at the lady. I figured, well, okay, screw it. I'll just order something off their menu there. And I just got a chicken sandwich and something, and that was it. But I'm thinking, Christ, I mean, they give you a coupon out to the public, and, the Burger King just can't deliver because their equipment is all froze up or broken or whatever the hell was wrong with it. And I was, and that's not like the first time that's happened, because a couple of months back, I went to the one in Brewer, and they had a problem with their soda machine, and they could only give out pink lemonade or water or something like that. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll have the lemonade then. And I guess things like that happen, in restaurants, but I don't know. It seems to me like lately those kind of things crop up a little more often these days. Not so much that it would, really become an annoyance, but it's not like really a shock anymore when somebody tells you that something isn't working and you can't have it. Like the ice cream machine isn't working like you always get at McDonald's, and of course the broiler and the soda machine, things like that are going to break down, especially as used as often as they are. But I would think that they would check the stuff out at the end of the day, at the work day, and make sure these things are in decent shape and there's no trouble. Because I would think with a soda machine you would know if something wasn't going to work right, if it wasn't going to work at all. At some point it would give you some kind of a warning, but I don't know. I don't work there, so I don't know how that stuff works. It just, it seems like on top of being understaffed, as many of these places are, having your equipment break down is another thing you don't need to have happen in your restaurant. So, okay. Anyway, something a little, another thing a little bit amusing happened, and this is primarily what I wanted to discuss. Remember I told you guys I bought a new iPhone, right? Okay. This is my new iPhone that I got. Okay. You know, the 2 cameras and all that shit. Okay. And I still have my old one, which I'm using right now to record. The new iPhone, like I think I said before, let me just kind of go back over in case I didn't. It operates very similar to this iPhone 8 that I'm using right now to record. The one that I showed you was an iPhone 13. Okay, there's a lot of different versions between the two, but it's odd that there isn't that much difference between this one and that one down there. You know, the only difference is the aesthetic part of it. You know, the way it looks on the outside, the casing, the screen size, I mean, all that. That's the only thing that's really different. Okay. And so, anyway, I got this email from US Cellular, where I do my business, and they wanted me to do a review of this thing now after I've had it for a while, just to see what I thought of it. Okay. And I figured, you know what, this is probably a good time to kind of put down my, you know, my issues here with certain things about these cell phones. So I wrote, you know, a message back to them. And let me see if yeah, okay, this is what I wrote. The title of it is Not Much Different from the iPhone 8. Okay. First, it's a lot of money for a plastic clamshell to put on it. What I'm talking about is the protector. You know, when you drop it, it doesn't break. That's what I mean by plastic clamshell. Because I paid like $60 for a stupid protector, you know, and it's really cheap. I could have got something, you know, better or something, you know. I said I found one at Dollar Tree that would have fit the phone and did the same thing. I had to add a magnetic panel on the back so it would attach to my dashboard mount, you know, one of these things here. They could have added a rubber edge to it to make it less likely to slip out of my hand. As for the phone itself, except for more memory, it runs almost the same as the iPhone 8 I had. It's hard to believe that they had a price tag of nearly $800 on it. There are very few things worth $800 in a cell phone. Any cell phone sure isn't. If it wasn't for the fact that they took off hundreds of dollars for the phone the day I got it, I'd have got up and walked right out of the store, and that was it. And not surprisingly, I got a message back from them, and it's titled, "Your review has been moderated. It cannot be published to the website, but you can submit something new." And it says, Jeff, our staff has read your review and values your contribution, even though it did not meet all our website guidelines. Thanks for sharing, and we hope to publish next time. So, in other words, they're politely saying, you're too negative, we're not going to put this out there, we don't want to make people not buy the phone. Okay? And I'm saying, geez, you know, that's what you get when you tell the truth, right? How you really feel. If they really wanted to hear what the customer is saying, then they wouldn't edit the stuff when you say it. You know? They wouldn't do that to you. But you see, folks, it's another example that goes with the theory that these phone companies are a racket. Okay? They're out there to make money. And even if they have to charge an outrageous price for these phones, if people are willing to pay it, which apparently they are, you know, they're going to keep marketing these things at that price. And the thing of it is that a cell phone is one of the hottest commodities people buy out there, even over DVDs and players and CD, you know what I'm saying, over any other thing, TVs, whatever. The cell phone is the most important piece of equipment that people own. Because they use it for everything. everything. I mean, even to listen to your music, they have that on the fucking phone. You don't even need to buy stereo anymore these days. You know, the sound quality coming out of the phone is like 10 times better than what you'd get out of any stereo. You can watch TV on these fucking things, you know. And it's become the symbol of the 21st century, I think. You know, even though this started in the 90s, it really didn't take hold with the popular society for people to have them. Now everybody's got them, okay? There's no reason in the world why when you call somebody, you're going to get, you know, a dead air or something, or they're not going to answer. They got the phone on them. They probably can't answer because they don't want to, or they're too busy doing something with their hands and they can't, you know, but you're always going to get the person you call. All right. So, knowing this and knowing that it's become so important with people now, that's like water, electricity, it's become, you know, something you got to have. If you're going to live in this world, you got to have a cell phone, because no one can do anything these days without it. I mean, people pay their bills on these fucking things, okay? Because they got their credit card account attached to it. So, knowing that, like I said, U.S. Cellular, Verizon, any of these other companies you can name off, even the Android ones, they're all in it for the money, because they know you got to have it. You know, it's one of those things that you have to have, okay? They've made it that way. And I can't help but think that maybe it's become that way because of all the other things that electronic stores used to sell. Now they don't, because nobody's buying that shit anymore. And so they've all converted over to just selling cell phones, okay? You know, I remember they were one of the things that caused Toys R Us to shut down. So, you know, all these stores in America, one of the complaints was they didn't modernize their electronics department for the kids, because all they sold were like video games and stuff like that. But at the time, we were already transitioning to online games with your cell phone, and they didn't sell any of that stuff. So they think that was one of the reasons why Toys R Us was not doing well, because they just weren't keeping up with the times. Okay, which is probably true, I imagine. Okay, but there was some mismanagement that went along with it as well, with the corporate headquarters. So with today, with the phones, I mean, like I said, you got, even kids have them, you know, and with that, you know, you have tracking devices on that, so they know where you are. They can see where you've been. People can take pictures. You got your camera feature right there. It does everything except wipe your butt at the toilet, you know. You know, but it does everything. So what reason does anybody have to, you know, buy anything else? So they figure, well, we'll take all your money that you would have spent on a brand new TV, a brand new stereo, video game system, and we'll put it all on the phone. That way, you'll buy it, because you got to have it, you know. See, when I bought my cell phone, they had on my account a discount of $700 fucking on it, okay? Which I don't understand why they would give me such a big discount on well, it's not a brand new phone, okay? This the 13 is not the newest one out there, but it's pretty new, okay? And if they're going to charge $800 for a damn phone and then turn around and take $700 off because you're already a member of U.S. Cellular and have an account there, or whatever the hell reason they had to take it off, why did you even mark it $800 in the first place? I could have just bought the damn phone outright for the money that you're going to have me pay anyway, and there, you know, then there wouldn't be this big overhead of a debt, I guess, or a negativity on their end, basically, for not getting back the money that they wanted for it. Okay. Now, maybe they have some kind of a thing worked out where it doesn't matter if they get the whole 800 or not. I don't know how it works. Believe me, I don't understand how businesses work. Somehow they got that figured out, that they can take a loss like that and it won't matter. I guess maybe because, like I said, so many people buy these phones that they make up that $800 deduction like that, you know, with the next sale. I don't know. But they took off $700 off the damn price of the phone, okay? Which, you know, if I'd had to pay the full price, I'd have got up and left. I said I would have never done that. But they, before I even said anything about it, they already looked up my account and said, oh, you got a $700 deduction coming to you. You know, and I'm like, huh? I didn't know about that. Funny how that showed up on their computer and not on mine. When I look up my account, There was nothing there that said anything about that, but I wasn't going to argue. If they want to take money off of that, fine, go right ahead. Then they wanted to put insurance on it for this, and I said no. Then they wanted to put some other damn thing on it for repairs, and I said no. You know, things to just keep racking up the bill, so you're paying more than $100 for the phone. And I said no to all those things, and they looked at me like I had 6 heads. Like, you have this with no insurance. I said, I've had this, the other phone, and I've dropped it so many times, it's never broke. It never broke on me. I said, as long as that thing is protected, there's really no reason, unless you deliberately take the phone and just slam it as hard as you can. And who does that? Well, maybe there is someone I know that does that, but you know, I take that back. There is people that'll do that because they can't control their temper. But the thing is that, you know, I said no to all those things, and that reduced the price, you know, before I walked out of the store on that thing. Okay, but you know, one of the reasons I needed to have a different phone was because the battery on this one is getting weak. Okay, and I've had it for 4 years. Believe it or not, I've had this phone for 4 years, and it seems like I just got it. But I got the phone before I went to Canada with my girlfriend to a Degrassi convention that was going on in Toronto, and the phone I had I couldn't use it. Okay, there was no way I could use the phone up there. So because that phone was even older than this one, and they said, well, we can get you a new phone and keep the price pretty much the same per month, and you'll have the ability to use it in Canada and stuff like that. You know, we can set it up for that, and it won't cost you extra. So they did, and they did a good job with me on that. You know, guy was pretty good, and so he got the phone all fixed up, and I could use it there. But that's how I got onto this phone, and it's already been 4 years since I got it, and I guess that battery, you know, 4 years and that's it. You know, 3 or 4 years is all you're going to get out of a battery, and they charge you over $100 at a store down here in near the Bangor Mall to fix batteries on a phone. Well, when they do that, they screw up your friggin' connection to your account. You have to reset the phone back. He told me that's what I'd have to do. If I did that over there, I'd have to pay the money, plus they'd have to resend the signal back to US Cellular that the phone is still operating. And I was like, ugh, sounds like a pain in the ass. I really don't want to mess with that. So I said, okay, well, I'll think about it. You know. And so I took a couple of weeks, looked online at US Cellular's phones, and I was looking at the ones they had, and of course they don't have any more of the iPhone 8 like this one is. Those are all gone, and so I was left looking at some of the newer versions, you know, like the 11, 12, 13, and you know, higher. And I was like, well, it looks like if I get a new phone, I'm going to end up paying more, possibly than you know, than just having the battery fixed. But you know, they could mess it up, you know, the phone somehow, and I just wouldn't be able to go back and fix it, you know. And so I went down to the store, and I told them what the problem was I was going to have, and they said, well, it's not a problem, because well, we could get you set up. We can't give you a newer phone for the kind of monthly payments you're looking for, but we can give you one that's pretty close to new, and it does, you know, pretty much the same as your old phone. It's just got a few differences in the operating system, you know, whatever the hell they call it. And so I said, okay, well, let's take a look at that. And I looked at it, and they showed me what it does and everything, and I was like, well, okay. And it says, well, look, you're going to get a brand new battery with the phone and everything, and it's going to be fresh out of the box, and you know, we won't have to see you back here for another 3 or 4 years to get another phone, if you know. So I'm like, okay, we'll do that then. So I said, but I'm keeping my old phone because I want it to do like recordings and games on it and stuff. And if I ever decide to put a new battery in it, I won't have to worry about not having a phone for a while. I'll just you know, I'll just, when I get the money, if I have the, if I can afford to swing $100, I'll just go have that done, you know. So anyway, but yeah, anyway, so like I said, they sent me that that questionnaire, and I wrote them, and it's, like I said, it wasn't very long. I read it to you, and that's what I got back. They weren't willing to put that up there because, hey, even the smallest little hint of a customer not being completely satisfied is too much for them to risk putting up on their page. So they're not going to do it. They're not going to. They offered me a redo if you want to lie to us about how wonderful this phone is, and we will definitely put it up then. You know, it's like we teach ourselves in this world. I don't know if it's on, you know, if it's deliberate or by accident. We teach ourselves that to lie is better than to tell the truth. And boy, I'll tell you, we're getting that in all directions, from the most important people in our country right down to the lowest. Okay, that lying is better. I mean, how the hell can we teach our kids to be honest with other people if they go around and they see everybody else lying all the fucking time? Okay, contradicting what their own parents are telling them. After a while, they're going to look at their parents like they're friggin' pilgrims or something. You know, friggin' Puritans rather. They're going to look at their parents like they're living like Puritans, you know? And so it's like, you know, you can't, if people aren't going to live by the rules that they teach their kids in life, then don't bother telling them a goddamn thing. Don't risk looking like an idiot when your kids are old enough to find out that you lied to them. Okay, about, oh, telling the truth is an important thing everybody does. No. Don't tell them that. It's better to be upfront with the kids from the get-go. Tell them what people would like to expect from other people. Tell them that it may not get that much respect, you know, because people, you know, would probably look at you like, are you crazy? You're not going to lie about this? You know, but people would like to see more honesty in our society because we're so tired of filling in the gaps of truth that we aren't told. You know, especially like these days when we're hearing about Trump, and every time we hear Trump talk, we already know he's lying. Okay, the minute he opens his mouth, a lie is going to come out because he doesn't understand that we already know what he's been lying about, and we already got the proof that he knows that he's lying. Okay, but it doesn't matter to him. He's going to lie anyway, and so the rest of us are like scratching our heads and wondering, why are you trying to destroy yourself? You already know the public knows you're lying. We already know the truth. We've seen the truth. We've had months and months of looking at what happened. We have the truth, but you're definitely not telling us the truth. And why should we listen to you? I don't know. Okay, let's go to a commercial break. Beer.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Dear Republicans, how can Joe Biden take your guns away?
He's going to take your guns away, you know that, right? Biden.
Didn't Barack Obama take them away in 2008 and 2012?
Obama wants your guns. How is that anything but fear-mongering?
It is actually quite accurate.
There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history.
Oh, right. It was just another Republican lie. It never happened. Donald Trump and the Republicans have been using this fake threat for decades. And while we're clearing up BS, Joe Biden doesn't want to defund the police.
I'm the only one who's talked about increasing police budgets.
Joe Biden isn't soft on border security. Joe Biden won't raise your taxes unless you make over $400,000.
I'm really rich.
And remember all those Hillary Clinton she's dying stories from 2016?
She can't make it 15 feet to her car. Give me a break.
More BS.
I do have the unique experience of having shared a debate stage 3 times with Donald Trump, and I know that he will do or say anything.
She's fine.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. So, I want to say, you see that painting there behind me? I've had that since 1978. I won that selling raffle tickets at my school all those years ago, and the guy that painted it, he was in college and taking art classes, and that was one of his first paintings that he did. Over the years, I tried to see if I could find that guy, if he's still around or something, just to tell him, I still got your painting. But no luck there, I guess. But it's been in our family there for all this time, and before my parents had passed away, they gave it to me, so I keep it. I'm not going to sell the damn thing. I mean, Christ, it's like I said, it's like a familiar thing. Every living room that we ever had, that painting was hanging there on the wall, so, the hell with it. I'm keeping it. So anyway, as I think some of us, you probably already know, Marjorie Taylor Greene got booted out of this Freedom Caucus thing that she's in because apparently there's been some infighting between her, Lauren Boebert, and Kevin McCarthy. No surprise there, because I think when Kevin McCarthy was trying to get the seat, right, speaker, I guess, after Nancy Pelosi left, there was a lot of tension there. A lot of Republicans didn't want him in there. A lot of Republicans didn't want him in there as speaker. They didn't like him. Apparently the guy doesn't have a very good reputation. But then on the other hand, a lot of the people like Boebert and Greene in the Republican Party are not even considered real Republicans. They're more like extremist factions, you know, like Republicans make fun of progressives, saying you're not really Democrat, you're just on the other side of being a Republican. Okay, well that's the way Republicans are looking at the Trumplicans, I call them. Okay, they're so far to the right that they can't even compare themselves to being a Republican. And so, and you know, Marjorie Taylor, I think she's made herself into a buffoon in Congress, because she's always on the chat rooms. People are always taking video clips of her doing something stupid or saying something stupid, you know, and so everybody is constantly after her. So she's kind of made herself into somebody that it's like somebody you like to hate. And that's even working with the Republicans, okay? Maybe not so much on the Trumplican side of things, but the general, you know, the regular Republicans really don't think much of her. And Boebert either, for that matter, okay? So whatever, you know, whatever friction or whatever's been said behind closed doors between her and some of the Republican members here, I don't know, okay, unless there's an insider there that's willing to explain. But all I know is it doesn't surprise me, because all she's good for is to start fights. That's all she's good for. You know, if there isn't a fight to be had, she looks for one. You know, if she's sitting there listening to somebody being questioned, and she's just sitting there, and I feel like she's getting bored, she tries to find an angle of attack to try to spice things up, to make it more controversial, to get it going. And it's usually over something that's stupid or even totally wrong if she'd have paid attention, you know. And I think that's all she's good at, is just starting a fight, okay? But people get sick of that when they're trying to make a point and you got a mouth on the other end that's trying to nitpick or twist something around that you didn't say, and they're forced to kind of shut you up so that, you know, the point can be made. After a while, you're going to lose your respect amongst your constituents, okay? And I think that's what's happening with her. Not that we didn't expect this to happen at some point. I thought it might have happened sooner rather than later, but I think, you know, a lot of Republicans these days are, you know, willing to just sit back and allow it to go on, you know. Beats the hell out of me. But, you know, I think her days are friggin' numbered. I think, you know, the next time she has to run for election, she may not win, you know, because enough people are going to try to get rid of her out of the system, probably primary her or some damn thing, you know, just to get her out. And then all we'll have to hear from her is her going around just shooting her mouth off in public, you know. So anyway, I found this kind of a funny article written by a person going by the name Laura Kay, which is not their name, okay. Okay, you know, it's Smokey. She hates it when I do these videos because I'm not paying all my attention on her, you see. So she starts to get restless and trying to get into things just to get my attention. Like, I'm gonna push this thing off the table and break it if you don't, you know. So anyway. So anyway, this person wrote this little article here, and it's entitled, "It Turns Out America is Somehow Even Worse Than Britain." Which we've been hearing all the opposite of recently here, because Biden is sort of campaigning for re-election, and the Democrats are putting out ads saying that the United States is doing better than all the other G7 countries. Our inflation's the lowest and all that, and we're actually doing better than Britain. But this person here is making the opposite case, and it's not that she's Republican. She's actually, or she's Democrat. She says she is. And so anyway, let me read this here. It goes, now my British fans aren't going to believe this, but there's a place that's even worse than the UK. And my American fans, and I have many, aren't going to believe this, but there's a place that's even better than America. If you're unsure what I'm talking about, the Tory party has somehow made Britain only the second worst country in the world, and you've got to admit that's quite the achievement. Whoops. Now what I'm about to say is at least 70% accurate, so if you're one of my American fans, please don't correct me, because 70% is much better than the BBC manages, and good enough for me. Thank you very much. Funny things are going on in America. For example, it's got something called a Constitution, and she puts in parentheses Bible, which was written when Jesus lived in America's capital, New York City, and Native Americans, in parentheses Christians, were riding on the backs of dinosaurs. America's also got something called the Supreme Court of the United States, which is sometimes called SCOTUS, although I'm unsure why. Anyways, what's brilliant about it is, and I mean SCOTUS, is it gets to decide what's allowed by the Constitution, even if the thing SCOTUS is ruling, rulings aren't quite in line with it, or allowed by the Constitution. Even if the thing is ruling doesn't exist when the Constitution was written 4000 BC. For example, SCOTUS has decided colleges can't consider the race of applicants when allocating college places anymore. This bold decision could make it harder for black people to get educated in a country that kept slaves until 1865 and still has a Ku Klux Klan and a Marjorie Taylor Greene. If I got this right, American education goes something like this. If you're poor and white, you'll spend the rest of your life in debt. And if you're poor and black, you won't go to college, or at least that's the aim. 6 of 9 SCOTUS judges describe this noble aim as creating a, quote, colorblind society, unquote, where no one can see a person's race other than armed cops at a traffic stop. So there you have it. Racism in America is over now, but thankfully the power of SCOTUS doesn't stop with ending racism. The U.S. Constitution gives judges the power to do all kinds of things. For example, SCOTUS decided the Constitution allows rednecks to walk into Walmart with popular mass murder devices called AR-15s, even though AR-15s didn't exist in 4000 BC. They've also decided corporations count as people and can own politicians. Website designers can refuse to work for gay couples, and 10-year-old rape victims can be denied abortions. SCOTUS judges can just pretend their personal beliefs are written in the Constitution, and this makes them all powerful. Sadly, there is no way the unwashed masses can stop SCOTUS from doing whatever it wants, because its judges get lifetime appointments, and given their average age is 126, they are probably immortal like Jacob Rees-Mogg. Among the other things, this means the American people have no democratic say over whether student debt is canceled. I understand the president wanted to cancel student debt so people could eat proper food instead of wrestling raccoons for scraps and garbage cans. This move had the support of the public, but SCOTUS said, quote, sorry, I'm not letting you do that because I don't like the thought of poor people eating, unquote. Student debt and racial inequality are just things that will exist forever now, because SCOTUS claims someone wrote this down while riding on the back of a Diplodocus. Rules from dinosaur times are forever. even the imaginary ones. And the imaginary rules say poor people should pay for their own tuition. It's only fair. Incidentally, college tuition is about 5 times more expensive than it was when the SCOTUS judges were educated. But although the judges believe in fairness, they don't believe in fairness enough to pay back what they saved. In unrelated news, SCOTUS decided it's totally fine for generous billionaires to give them tens of thousands of dollars in bribes and pay for their lavish holidays. This is because rugged, unfettered capitalism is only for young people with blue hair to punish them for being woke. As you can see, blue hair is clearly the problem here, along with pride flags, avocados, and birth control, and SCOTUS should definitely ban those things next. So yeah, and you know, like I said, it's funny, but it really illustrates, you know, just where we are as a country right now, and it's not good. Okay, the Supreme Court, and I think, you know, the rest of the world sees it, is basically on a crusade. You can call it religious crusade, you can call it political crusade, I don't know which. Maybe it's a bit of both, I don't know. But it's definitely a crusade. And that crusade could be motivated by self-righteousness or revenge, or both. But either way, it's not a good motivation, okay? When you consider what they've already undone and what they're going to undo next summer, you can't help but wonder, you know, why was it at the time we fought so goddamn hard to get these things, Roe versus Wade and stuff like that, to convince people that, you know, these things were a must in order to have a civilized society. Because, like, for example, Roe v. Wade, before that, it was a bloody nightmare out there on the streets. I mean, where women were doing this on their own, trying to have abortions. I mean, we really want to go back to that, where women are putting their life at risk, doing that because they can't get access to a doctor or something, you know, in whatever state they're living in. You know, I feel like that's really barbaric. You know, how can we call ourselves a United States of America when our states are not united anymore? Okay, they all want to go their own way. Okay, or at least the red states want to go their way, away from the blue states. You know, it's not like every state's, you know, it's just a certain political ideology is trying to break off from the other. In other words, they're trying to make two Americas here. And we can't really call ourselves united unless we want to disenfranchise all the red states and just let them be their own country, and then we just scoop up the blue ones and call ourselves the United States of Democrat America, whatever you want to say. But we can't be united. And there's that old saying about a house divided, okay? And we are divided, and it's showing that cracks that weren't there are there now. Cracks that we thought we sealed up a long time ago are breaking open again. People's perception of where we are today as a society is now in conflict with where we're going, okay? And it's not very good. This is not the way society is supposed to move in any country in the world. It's supposed to move forward. I mean, even in communist Russia, they move forward, and even though they're taking a step back now because of what's been going on in Ukraine between the two countries, the people over there still want to go forward back to where they were before Putin decided to wake up with a hair up his ass, okay? They still want to go back. So it's in every society's ambition to want to make better days for future generations. And since we've already been taught in school, because there's nobody left alive, really, I mean, I could think of offhand who experienced, you know, America, the old days. Since we want our future to be better for our kids, we just don't want to look back, okay? Except to remind ourselves and to use the past as a way to gauge where we're going, so we can know if we're going better or going worse, so that our kids can have a better tomorrow. But right now, it seems like everything's working against us now, okay? You know, we've wrecked the environment, so we got environmental issues that are plaguing us now, which brings about, you know, its own individual problems. You know, I think a lot of people think that, you know, the pandemic is a symptom of global problems related to our climate. You know, maybe that's how it got started. We don't know. China's not telling us a goddamn thing about that, so we don't really know how that started. But the truth is that we're opening ourselves up to a whole bunch of problems. You know, where this summer has been already labeled the hottest summer ever. Okay, and we got big wildfires in Canada that they've never seen before. Okay, we're boiling ourselves to death in this world. Okay, and you know, because we got rapid melting at the poles, all that ice is melting faster than the people were thinking that it was going to take long. You know, it's just because what happens is that it compounds. You know, it's a how do they call it? You know, it's like when you start to melt something and it throws up more moisture in the air, which and then in turn holds more heat, creating more melting. It exponentially increases the speed in which things will melt. So now they're dialing back the estimates of when things are going to start getting terrible, like flooding and things like that. I think some of them are already thinking that we'll probably see some severe weather events in our lifetimes. You know, probably within the next 30 or 40 years, we could probably see, you know, massive flooding that takes out cities and shit like that along the coastline. You know, goodbye Florida. We could probably see that happening. And, you know, that would be the reason why insurance companies down there are just folding and moving somewhere else, because they don't want to insure nothing in Florida. They know what's going to happen to Florida. They know that. If they didn't know that, they would have stayed, but they know better. Okay, so they're not buying the right wing's argument that, oh, there's no such thing as global warming. They already know that it's happening. They got specialists and experts that tell them what's going on. Okay, that's how do you think they stay alive all this time, knowing who to insure and who not to insure? Oops, smoky. Just almost knocked over the phone here. So, knowing that, yeah, we do have a problem in America, and like I said, it's like everything that can go wrong is going wrong in our government now. And I can't help think that, you know, this is the culmination of the last 60 years of our government running things its own way and leaving all of us, its people, to the curb. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it feels like, you know, this is what happens when your government doesn't care about its people anymore. Eventually the government is going to fall, okay, because it cannot actually stay alive if it's ignoring what's going on around them, right? I mean, how are you supposed to know what's to fix in order to keep the country going if you're not willing to just listen to what voters are saying, to what the majority is saying? Okay, because that's what sustains a democratic government. That's why we have majority rule, or at least that's the way it's supposed to be. But what we're doing now is we're letting 6 people in a fucking court decide for everybody what's right and wrong now, taking away the power of the presidency, essentially, to make it harder so Biden won't succeed at anything, which is really kind of too late for them, because he's done, you know, a lot of good things, even though, you know, it's the Democrats haven't really been saying much about that argument, you know, or pushing it enough out there, okay? Because, you know, Republicans have been hammering at it for a long time, and Democrats should be out there defending it as just as hard, but, you know, that's a different argument. The thing is that it's too late for them to try to ruin Biden's legacy, because in 4 years he's already done 8 times as much than Donald Trump ever did in his fucking 4 years as president. Okay, Trump was a total disaster, and even Republicans knew it. Okay, but you know, the fact is that, you know, right now, where things are churning in the other direction here, are starting because of things that Biden has started. the Supreme Court is the one nut that we really can't crack here because of the way it's set up. And it's set up where these justices can sit there for, you know, if they live for eternity, they're going to be there for eternity, okay? And that's like the one thing in this government that's like a carryover from Great Britain. You know, lifetime appointments to things and stuff like that. You know, why did we do that? Why did the founding fathers decide that one place, that one area of government deserved to have judges that didn't have to follow any ethical rules and could sit there forever? And the voters didn't have a choice on who to get. It was up to the government to decide who the justices would be, but not up to the voters. You know, that seemed to me like that was like something they came up with before they actually created the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that was something that was already in the works. Something they carried over from England with them and started right off the bat. You know, and when they made the Constitution, they kind of left that alone the way it is. So, you know, it feels like it's an outside entity. Like when people talk about the deep state or something like that, you know, maybe the Supreme Court is part of that. You know, maybe that is what it, because it doesn't seem to have much of a connection to the actual government because it runs its own affairs. You know, it's, like I said, they select the cases they want to hear based on how important those cases are going to be to the general public. That gets them in the spotlight, gives them chance to show, you know, how relevant the court still is. Even though right now, a big majority of the country has absolutely no love for this court at all, okay? I mean, their numbers, their approval numbers are in the low 20s, maybe even the teens right now. I mean, they can't, even George W. Bush didn't have a approval rating like that. Okay, so I'm just thinking, you know, maybe these people have shown us too much of what really goes on behind the doors, and that's why a public perception of them is changing to where we're all thinking it needs to be repaired, it needs to be fixed, it needs to be remade for modern times, okay? Because it doesn't follow the principles of what democracy is all about. It runs its own affairs, okay? And I think that, you know, when you allow an unregulated court system like the Supreme Court to do what it wants against the wishes of the majority of the country, which a lot of the past rulings were based on how the majority kind of felt at the time. Even though it was, the decisions had to be based in the Constitution, they still had a majority following to that decision, you know, based on the times, okay? At least they would thought things through back then. They're not doing it now. The minute they hear a case and it goes against something they believe in, they've already made a decision. They don't even have to hear the rest of it, okay? If it's anything about abortion, strike it down. You know, they don't even care about the circumstances or the situation. They don't want to hear the details. It's typical Republican thinking. Black and white. Yes and no. There's no middle ground. There's no detail. There's no shades of gray in their thinking. To them, when a rule is made, it's set in stone and cannot be removed. That's why they still look at the Old Testament. Okay, that's why they still look at the rules from the 1700s. Okay, because to them, those were the original rules, and we never should have deviated from that from the get-go. You know, that's what they think. That's what they think. I know that sounds crazy, but folks, look at the pattern. Look what's been going on. The Supreme Court is showing us what the Republican Party is all about today. Okay? Now, that may not speak to the moderate Republicans. Maybe they're not that black and white. They might have some shade of gray there. But with the Supreme Court, you know they're being given what was the word I used? A crusade. Founded by the Trumplicans, more or less, or the extreme Republicans, that they're going to carry on while they're sitting on the bench. Okay, that's what their motive is. Okay, and as long as those three other judges that aren't Republican are there, they're never going to have their way. I don't even know why they bother to show up for work, to be honest, unless it's a requirement that they have to be there, even if they're always going to oppose the other side. Because everything that's been coming down from the Supreme Court has been just Republican interested stuff. Okay, that's all that's been coming down. So that tells you that the court is not functioning in the manner in which people hoped it would stay functioning. As you know, a bipartisan kind of thing where, you know, some Democrats might agree, some Republicans might agree. We're not seeing that anymore now, because even in the court, it's all polarized. So how can we even trust any decision that they make now, when we know that if it's split down the ass crack when it comes to decisions, then you know it was all political. And we're not supposed to be taking political instructions here from the Supreme Court. Their purpose is to simply keep us in line with the Constitution. That's all it's there for. It's not to tell us what we can or can't do. Okay, laws like that aren't made there. It's supposed to be made in Congress, Senate, you know. But these things here are happening basically to undermine Biden and undermine any kind of progress, to make things more miserable in this country than they already are. Okay, social issues are things they like to chip away at, to set us at each other's throats all the time. Okay, because when we're doing that, we're not seeing any progress anymore that's being made by President Biden. All those things that he's been doing is good. We're too busy worrying about school shootings. All the things that he gets started to do something good for us, we're too busy worrying about unemployment or inflation. You know, the price of gas. You know, we have issues that affect us personally at home that are more important, I think, in our minds than, say, you know, how many jobs were created. I mean, that's something that not all of us are going to see immediately, the result of. I know right here in Maine, I mean, there's another store closing in Maine here, the Christmas tree shop that's closing here, and that's going to be more people unemployed. You know, we're still going through the pangs of the fallout of the pandemic. Okay, prices are still high everywhere, so we're not going to see much of that improvement from Biden because, you know, we're not one of those states that's going to have a factory built or something like that, you know, to do these things that he wants us to do. So it's only going to benefit immediately some states. All right. So while the rest of us are still waiting to see the progress, instead we're being fed all kinds of crap to keep us fighting it with each other, you know, about abortions, about gay people, about LGBTQ rights and black people, you know, the endless list of things, you know, that they just keep throwing at us to keep us fighting and arguing, to keep us miserable and under people's thumbs, you know. That's what they do. Okay, I don't want to go too long here, but that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and please keep your ears open to COVID-19 updates, and please subscribe, comment. I'd like to hear from you, and treat each other nice, like you say. It's always good to do that, even in bad times like these when we're feeling kind of beaten down and sick and tired of politics. But just, you know, if you put on a chipper attitude and you make other people feel good, you know, or say something that makes them laugh, you know, it kind of bounces back on you too. So, you know, try it. Just try it, and maybe after a while it gets easier to do, and you know, it'll be easier, and I won't have to ask you to do it. All right, take care, everybody.